What is good, Nim fam? I am back with another FPL Eye Test. I'm so sorry that I wasn't around last week. I was so unwell. It was unbelievable. I could barely talk. But in a week where Mbeumo finally paid back those who kept their faith and budget mids delighted, who is it we should be looking out for next game week? We also take a look at my points and my early transfer thoughts. Is it time to finally wildcard? So with that, let's see who passed the eye test ahead of game week 10. With news that Robson could be out until at least the new year with a shoulder injury he picked up on international duty, the FPL community went into hyperdrive with the then 4.4 budget replacement Tsimikas. Those on a wildcard snapped him up straight away, and those looking for a replacement for the likes of Botman also may have taken a bit of a punt. The Liverpool defender stuck that punt with a clean sheet for his owners. A little jammy, I thought, as he was taken off just after the 60-minute mark. Whether that was just Klopp chasing the game and going more attacking, or if that will become a regular thing, is something to keep our eyes on. Either way, on the pitch, he didn't set the world alight, if I'm completely honest. However, he was in some of the right places that FPL managers like to see. In other words, he was on corners, looking very advanced. Klopp does have other options in this position, but the now 4.5 million defender could be worth considering either way, especially if you've just wildcarded with nice bench cover or are just wildcarding and will have nice bench cover. He's really cheap enough to ride out any potential benchings. On Liverpool as a whole, however, they are finding their form at the right time, and with Forest, Luton and Brentford up next, if you don't own Mo, then now is the time to get in. But can you go without Haaland is what a lot of people are asking at the moment, as they either have just wildcarded and done just that, or are about to wildcard, or even just to free up some funds if you're not wildcarding. Just a bit of a spicy punt, I guess. Well, it is only last week that we were discussing City's 2 losses in a row in the Premier League, and as predicted in our last video, we knew that that run was unlikely to continue, and well, it didn't. Granted, Brighton have been terrible at keeping their clean sheets, and City were at home, so they were the favourites. But where does that leave anyone wanting to free up funds and go without Haaland? Based on the eye test, Alvarez is doing everything right. Can he cover Haaland? That is a very tough question. I asked this a few weeks back if having other midfielders could help cover me not owning Mo Salah. I started the season with Mo Salah in my team and I sold him for 2 game weeks and immediately bought him back in again. Thankfully, I had left the cash in the bank in order to be able to do that. Why? Well, it's simply the same reason I probably won't go without Haaland if I wildcard this week. And that's because these expensive players are just very hard to get back into your team, especially once you sell them and distribute the funds around the rest of your team. They always find ways to score points, and at the end of the season they are always there or thereabouts. The thing about Salah is, if you think about it, most people have needed their wildcard to get him into their team. So if you sell Haaland and want him back in, then it's going to be very difficult potentially to remove those funds back around without a wildcard to get Haaland back in. Now that's not to say do not do it. This is completely up to you. On the eye test, City are not blowing teams away at the moment. And if you see an opportunity to capitalise from this, then I am all for following your gut in this game. For me, I'll simply just enjoy the game knowing I have Haaland in my team and knowing that if at any point he really doesn't look like he's improving or he's not matching other players for cheaper than him, I can always downgrade in funds to Alvarez. Whereas trying to upgrade back to Haaland will be so much tougher. It could even mean that I'd have to wait until after Christmas and my second wildcard to get him back. That said, I have had both at the moment, and I am struggling to sell Alvarez for Watkins. A little more on that in just a moment. Moving on to Newcastle though, who continue to look great. If you are not on any Newcastle player, then it's time to get at least one defender. I'm pretty sure most people do. Yes, their fixtures look a bit more mixed now, but I wouldn't let that distract you at all. This team now has 4 wins and 1 draw in 5 game weeks, along with 4 clean sheets. It's been a decent run, but also they have stepped up their defence by some distance. If you can afford Trippier with his 6 assists in 4 game weeks, that has put him at the top for defender points, then great. Otherwise, having Burn or Shah is not a terrible shout if you can't get to Trippier. That's where I guess having no Haaland really helps you out in terms of affording Trippier as another midfielder price point. Something to weigh up there. Outside of the defence, is still too tough to settle on a striker, with rotation still happening between Isaac and Wilson, but Gordon has served his ban and he is alive again now for a tasty budget pick at 5.6 million with 3 goals and 4 assists. If you'd like to know a little more about my points and early transfer plans, and if I'm wildcarding this week, then they'll be coming up very, very soon. So hold tight, you little squirrels. But wherever you are on your FPL journey, whether that is having already wildcarded, about to wildcard, or are holding onto your wildcard, one thing to consider is this fixture swing. In the FPL world, this means a lot of teams turning into a good run of fixtures after having a tough run. In this particular instance, it's prompted lots of wildcard because teams in form are also hitting a nice run of fixtures. So here's some teams and some standout players from the eye test to focus on getting as soon as you can. Arsenal definitely is now the time to load back up on them. I'm reluctant to suggest our defence with the shaky Raya at the heart of it at the moment, but if you want to go there, White and Saliba are the picks. If you want to break the template, then doubling up on Arsenal midfield is an option. Saka is a given after shaking off his knock and getting that assist on the weekend. Paired with one of Martinelli or Odegaard is a nice shout. Aston Villa, get on these guys if you haven't already. Watkins is now top of the forwards points above Alvarez and Haaland, with Luton, Forest and Fulham up next. I think he's an absolute must. The only fixture you're missing really out of those 3 is Burnley. So, get on it. Diaby and Luiz are the midfield picks. Luiz allowing you more room with your budget, of course, and with other great cheap options in Palmer, Gordon, Neto and Jensen. At the moment, it doesn't feel like a terrible price point. Should you feel like you've chosen the wrong one, there are other options in this budget bracket. Also, Luiz and Palmer are on penalties. Nice added benefits for their budget price point. That is not to be sniffed at. Cash is the defender to have at Villa. Wouldn't look outside of that. West Ham is another team to look at. Yes, they did struggle at Villa, but their next 3 of Everton, Brentford and Forest should prove easier for the Hammers. Areola, the nice budget goalkeeper pick, top of the wildcard list for most people. The likes of Bowen, Soucek and Ward-Prowse are the midfield options. Like Newcastle though, I'd avoid the strikers, with Antonio just not being on it at the moment. Brighton is the other team that wildcarders are looking at the moment with a good fixture swing. Honestly, I wouldn't consider the defence at the moment, and the only player for me, he's fairly obvious to be honest, is Matoma. He's still a great option, despite the obvious nature. If you are looking for help with your FPL team, then please do check out the sponsors of this video, fantasyfootballfix.com, where you can follow the world's best FPL managers' team reveals live. Link is in the description below. Just a note on Brentford whilst we are here. Last week I told you to hold on to any Brentford players you may have for Burnley, and if you did, like me, if that someone was Viscera and Bemo, you'll be very happy this week. This is some people asking the question, should they keep them now? For me, I don't think so, and I'm pretty sure that Mbeumo might only survive in people's teams if they've got other fires to put out. We said target Burnley last week for a reason, and Brentford explained exactly why beautifully. Yes, you could say that game weeks 14 to 17 looks nice on paper, and these players may get the odd points in these games, but I don't see them hauling, and with a blank in 18, I'm not really sure I see enough points in them with other players at the same price point having better fixtures. However, there's nothing to say hop off of them for a couple of weeks and jump back on if you want to at that time. Right, with all of that, let's get into my team and possible transfers. Gutted that Turner lost his clean sheet in the dying minutes, conceding not 1 but 2 goals. There is no pain like it in FPL, is there? In defence, Burn got me a clean sheet, and so would have Botman if he had played, but he didn't, and so, unfortunately, I won't be getting any Saliba jam off of my bench this time. Though, can I just say, what was that guy meant to have done? when he's jumping for the ball. I mean, you have to put your hands up to jump for a ball. That was not a penalty. Anyway, let's move on. Adogi is yet to play. Let's see how that turns out. In midfield, so far, only Foden letting me down. Foden has been the bane of my life at the moment. Almost certain to go this week, if he hasn't already. More of that in a second. Salah with a brace, and Mbeumo with the goal and an assist. I just need my Spurs guys to show up now for a really decent game week. Up front, thankfully, both my City boys returned with a goal apiece. Haaland was my captain. I was hoping City would blow Brighton away, and it didn't quite come about. But I can't complain with both my City players getting something, although it would have been nice if Foden could have got a little something too. All of that means I'm on 64 points, not bad at all so far, and that's a green arrow up to 916,692. Whisper it quietly, I've snuck into the 1 million club. Let's see how long I last there before I get kicked out again. With that, let's look at my early transfer plans for Game Week 10. And I've been really unsure if to wildcard. I have 2 free transfers, and last night I did Watkins in for Alvarez, Douglas Luiz in for Mbeumo, and Bowen in for Foden for a -4 before the price changes. That does not mean that I will not wildcard. I have been really unsure if to sell Son, and I really want Saka. Now, if I'm happy to lose one of Son or Maddison, then I should probably wildcard. But if they look great tonight, then I don't really think there's any real need to wildcard, and I might be able to roll through for another couple of game weeks. However, if they're not really on it or they're just not looking their best, then I may hit that wildcard button because, as I say, really would like some more Arsenal in this team for the coming game weeks. The pluses of a wildcard now is jumping on these fixture swings and maybe some really good price rises. Those who wildcarded are in a really great position when it comes to having money in the bank at the moment. If I hold the wildcard, dead ending into game week 18 and having the wildcard out the back of game week 19 is a possible option and means I can load up on City for their run and means that I could possibly delay the second wildcard. But will I be too far behind the curve? That is the question. I've really struggled with this decision this week, to be honest, because looking at my team, I don't think it's far off of what a lot of wildcarders are wildcarding into. However, there's still quite a few transfers I would make to this if I wildcarded this week. So I found it really difficult. Let me know in the comments below, NimFam, what you would do. And that's it. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and join the NimFam on the road to 10k. You're really helping me out. I will be taking it a little easier this week, easing myself back in, but hopefully normal scheduling will resume very soon. But do hit that notification bell so when I do post a video this week, you'll know all about it. Until next time, Nimfria out.